episode 237 of the TV Dudes, recorded May 2nd, 2019. That other streaming network. So, guys, we're all streaming people here, right?
Yes.
Streaming people here, except for Kyle, who's gone a little off the reservation.
So I cut the cord, but
Yep.
I didn't really cut the cord because I had my parents' cable login info.
Yep.
So I kind of cut the cord, but then they cut the cord.
Yep.
Whoever told my parents about cord cutting, F you.
That day is coming for me real soon. I think.
It's coming for
You're
all
still a
of
streaming
us.
person, though, because what you jump to...
So
You're
yeah.
streaming.
So now I have YouTube TV, which is. I mean, it's pretty much all the channels, and you get live stuff, but it's just a different app.
All the channels, Kyle? Does it have epics?
It's got something like Epics. I think I got Paramount.
Oh, jeez. Okay, that is all the channels.
Yeah, no, we didn't have
Paramount
HDTV.
network,
That was
that's right.
the big thing, when we first,
Yeah.
oh, we're fighting with whoever owns it. And then 2 weeks later, oh, we got HDTV now.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, but no, it's kind of like a mix in between. For instance, we pay $5 extra to get Showtime, but we don't get access to the Showtime app. We can't go to the Showtime website and log in with our cable login info. We can only watch it from the YouTube TV app.
Is it possible that YouTube TV is some kind of Chinese hacker workworkaround and you don't know it?
Right, is this just Cody?
Yeah.
for or whatever that is that you can put on Amazon Fire Sticks?
Right.
You know the one thing I do actually really like about it, which we have a TV Dudes YouTube Premium, YouTube Red, but all the YouTube original content, it's just part of Apple TV. So right in the on-demand section,
yeah.
I can watch Weird City and Cobra Kai.
Oh, that's cool.
That's great.
And I'm if they keep developing content like that, that's the place to put it. And another thing that's nice, I was watching, what was it? Billions.
Yeah.
And they have Related on YouTube. And it was all the late night show hosts who posted their little interview with, actually it was Seth Meyers, interviewed the actor who plays Taylor.
Okay.
And it was really interesting. And they were talking about kind of their journey of self-discovery and their platform and how they want to use it. And they're also going to be in John Wick 3, which I'm kind of freaking jazzed about. But no, it's the whole experience is pretty awesome. It is $50 a month, but it's kind of pricey.
Yeah, but this is an interesting segue because you're talking about YouTube TV. You're talking about for us, especially for me and Les. We have shows from different networks that we're talking about this week, but essentially for me, they're all Hulu shows.
Yes.
I don't think of shows as ABC or NBC. I think of them as Hulu shows.
No, Hulu show. Is it a Hulu show or a Netflix show?
Yeah.
Or do
Yeah.
I have to watch it on something weird like Stars?
You know, and for the record, Hulu actually has the exact same thing YouTube TV has, but except you get all the Hulu originals.
Right.
Which Hulu has a much bigger library of not only originals,
Right.
but all that British stuff they brought over.
Yeah.
Amazon Prime does a similar thing. You can do your HBO through it.
Yeah.
And you have to think about how you're getting your subscription to these things, because the Amazon Prime interface to get to HBO, you can't just look through every HBO movie.
Right.
They try to help you out with hot new comedy movies on HBO, but it's not the full selection. So I find myself I've added the HBO Go or HBO Now, which fuck your marketing team. I don't know which one of those is which. No one does. You do one and then you do the other one. It's like trying to plug a USB.
It's
stick in.
subliminal. Go now.
Yeah.
Sign up. Go.
But I get that
now.
on there, and I'll flip through and find the movie I want to find. I can't watch it directly through that app. I'll then mark okay, oh cool, they do have The Conjuring 2, and then I'll back out, go to Amazon, go to HBO through Amazon, or rather, I'll search for it on my Roku, and it'll say it's on Amazon, and it'll work that way. But you got to watch if you don't like Hulu's interface, which no one likes Hulu's interface.
No, I use the Apple TV interface to get to Hulu.
Yeah, then you got to be careful about getting your subscriptions through Hulu or through YouTube.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Actually, that's probably we talked about that. It's there's a million other things that do the exact same thing, but the YouTube TV, it's got one of the interfaces where the last thing you're watching, it leaves it playing in the background while you're scrolling.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is kind of nice, and it's a lot like how YouTube works now.
Anyway, we are the TV Dudes. I'm Randy.
We did all of that without an intro.
Yep.
You know who we are. I'm Les.
And I'm Kyle.
And this week we are talking about 4 Hulu shows. or Hulu and a couple NBC and an ABC show, depending.
Yes,
on...
I understand that they have some kind of alphabet soup of content.
Yes,
creator names.
It's weird. I don't know why they don't just do it by genre or something.
Yes.
But ABC must be a guy. He makes a kind of an interesting mix of different stuff.
Yeah.
So we're talking about RAMY, which is one of their originals. We're talking about NBC's AP Bio and Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which I think we've all been digging. And then we're talking about Whiskey Cavalier because Grant's not here to stop us.
Oh, I hate to love this show, or I love to hate it. I don't know.
I really enjoy this show, and I love knowing how much Grant hates me for enjoying this show.
I'm still watching.
I did not make it through the first episode, so I'm waiting to hear why I should give this another shot.
So let's start off with RAMY.
Yes.
Which is a story of a Muslim American 20-something in New York City. And it's...
How did you put it off, Mike? If this show were any more subdued, my TV would be off?
Yeah, if this show were any quieter, my TV would be off. Because this dude is low-key... Like, you can't tell me the dude's name is Rami Emanuel? No, not something. Rami Youssef.
Yeah.
Rami Youssef is the dude's name who's making it, who is the lead character. And... if you were to tell me this dude did not smoke weed, I would not believe you.
It has the same it's got that same laid back, high maintenance, you're just kind of rolling through it. And to me, the tone and the comedy, there's a sweetness and a sincerity to it that where you really feel for the guy, and they're never, I don't know, I could see where when he's being pestered by his friends of you should just get married, you should just let your mom pick out a wife for you, bro.
Yeah.
And his wife leans around these two are idiots, but also that's true.
The hidden genius of this show is the editing. You watch Edgar Wright stuff, whether it's Spaced or
the timing that makes these jokes when they're cutting.
He does Edgar Wright. He does the quick pan, where it's quick to some other action.
Yeah.
This is the slow pan, where you'll get those moments where you focus on an awkward slow moment, but instead of having to go through the whole buildup of how you get to that moment, as soon as you see it coming, he cuts it quick, and it's just and it happens a lot, and it's really effective. All the things you guys are saying, I experienced that just through some of the edits.
Him trying to rush through washing his feet at the mosque and the old man, it's both a funny awkward moment. Which I don't always like, awkward tension humor, but it turns into an incredibly poignant moment really quick.
It does.
And the show does that a lot. I mean, it also makes it they don't go for the jugular on the joke ever. And so I can see where you could watch this show and be like, that's not that funny. To me, it has a subdued humor. Also, it is doing a lot of heavy lifting of showing a community that is not represented on television without making it a huge deal. I don't know how else to put it.
One of the things that I compare this life. One of the things I compare it to a little bit is that The Big Sick. Kumail Nanjiani really showed us what it was like to be a Pakistani man trying to he's trying to be a comedian, but he's also trying to live with his life with his mom, and he's having to explain to these girls he's dating I'm gonna have to have an arranged marriage. This is my culture, and we're seeing. Because in RAMY, we're really not seeing the white girl point of view for the most part. We are seeing it from RAMY's point of view. So we're definitely you're deep diving into what it is like to be a Muslim family in America. And I found the first episode kind of slow and kind of boring. And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to watch any more of this. And I watched the second episode and the third one. And I'm getting into it and I'm liking it. It's okay. It's I'm a little bit better. Episode 4 is called Strawberries. And it focuses on Rami when he's 12 years old. He's just learning about masturbation and America Online and all this kind of stuff. And he's going through this thing where he's he's starting to figure out who he is as a kid. He's going through puberty. And fucking 9/11 happens. And what it was like to be a Muslim kid in New Jersey right after 9/11, I've never seen it portrayed quite this way. And at that point, I was 100% in.
Wow.
And then the next episode after that is entirely focused on his sister.
Which I love her interactions in just the episodes I've seen.
And so seeing this focus on and seeing her from her point of view, I was like, oh man, this show can do so much. I didn't realize quite the scope that it had. And it wouldn't surprise me if before the end of the season if there's something that focuses on his parents. We are starting to see a little bit more of these characters. They definitely slow roll this. They're not going out of their way to say, oh, please like us. They're slow rolling. It's like, look, get on board or don't. We're making what we're making, and I kind of respect that.
Yeah, it's got an Atlanta vibe in that sense. For me.
Yeah, for sure.
The character I really enjoy is the uncle.
Oh my God,
the
he's so
jewelry store
awful.
guy.
He's
I
so
know, but I'm
awful.
like, that is like to have a villain in the scenario, because I could see where the temptation's like, no, let's just make everybody real, and like this is like real Muslim families and how it works, and it's like, but like everybody's got an asshole like in there, so it's great to see like kind of the characters that you identify with, like, oh, that's my sister, that's my aunt, that's my buddy, and then also to see this guy and be like, oh, that's my alt-right uncle. I know this guy, this asshole.
Yeah, and the thing is, he's an awful person. He's cartoonish in some ways, but he's also very real and also like kind of entertaining. Like in a way, if you're not in that family, if you're not having to deal with this bullshit, you're like, oh, I can see where this is really funny.
But again, too, they edit it in a way where like you can't be the fly on the wall. You have to be like in there and feeling it with Rami, and it's
the awkwardness is really in there.
In episode 2, when the sister like dances around the whole thing to get out of dinner, and she does it in a way where the parents won't call her out.
Yeah,
it is just brilliant.
Yeah. I've only gotten 6 episodes in. I haven't watched the back half, but I'm definitely going to.
Yeah, I'll be watching more of this. It really caught me off guard.
Yeah, I do think I would recommend to people, if anybody starts with the first episode and they're just not feeling it, dig a little deeper with it. At least go watch episode 4, which is where it hooked me.
Yeah, no, I think I got hooked on episode 2, but again, I'm in it. It's a stylish show, and it's really quirky and funny. And I really think there's something to the way that they edit this show. You don't see other stuff edited like this.
I have liked a lot of Hulu shows, but this feels like one of their stronger entries. It's got its own style in a way that a lot of their stuff doesn't.
So before we move off of Hulu and into like the network stuff we're going to talk about, I want to talk about Hulu in general. Do you guys feel like Hulu has a chance of overtaking Netflix in terms of content?
It does now.
Right?
With Disney both having the ABC stake in it, but also looking to buy more.
Yeah. Well, also, I feel like Netflix is making a couple like there's a new Will Forte sketch show on Netflix. I don't remember what it's called, but I happen to see on Facebook there's an ad for this Will Forte sketch, and it was okay. Will Forte is an acquired taste. You either like him or you don't, and I like him in small doses, but I definitely don't like a lot of him. And in this thing, they never mention the name of his show in this promo anywhere. So I was curious. I'm like, well, I'm going to go look at the comments. There are thousands of comments. And 10% of the comments were, hey, idiot marketers, tell us the name of the show. 90% were, why did you assholes cancel Santa Clarita Diet?
Oh, that's hysterical.
And I'm like, they may have made a big tactical error. Like, people love Netflix because it felt like the place you could go where your shows weren't going to get fucking canceled out from underneath you.
Yeah. Oh, and after Santa Clarita, somebody pointed out, I don't know how true this is, but that a lot of the way Netflix structures deals is an increased bonus with every season that you add onto your show.
Yeah.
So by season 3, that multiplier starts to really add up.
Yeah.
And if you have any named talent in your show, season 3 seems to be
like the girl from E.T.
Season 3 seems to be the bubble pop point where your budget from 3 to 4 is going to eclipse what Netflix wants to pay.
Yeah. Well, the trick is, if that's the deal, they need to get that out in front of that and warn the showrunners.
So that's what there was some interview with. I don't know if it was the showrunner from Santa Clarita, or if it was just some other showrunner watching the chaos that was like, so we're all kind of learning our lesson. Okay, no matter how excited the other person in the meeting is, Netflix is a 3-season place.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If Netflix is a place you can go to have shows canceled underneath you, that's a problem, because we've already got 4 networks for that, and they're all on Hulu. So I feel like Hulu is starting to come up a little bit on there. Like Shrill is definitely one of the shows of the year. Like that is definitely beyond everybody's.
And they were brilliant to renew that. I mean, just yes.
And RAMY is something nobody else is doing. So I feel, and of course they've still got the Handmaid's Tale and a few other things like that. So
what's great about RAMY is it's not that other people aren't doing it. As you guys pointed out, 2 examples, they're doing it, but just in little snippets. Like another one I was thinking of was Aziz Ansari's show.
Yeah.
He did the one episode where him and his cousin go to the barbecue.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, this is the show right here. Like, and that's what we get with
And
RAMY.
that's what they've done here. Hulu's made a show finally that feels like it could fit with HBO's High Maintenance or Netflix's
it's just right in there.
Show.
Right. And they had Castle Rock, which was reasonable, but I feel like they're finally starting to hit their shows that are like hitting the levels that Netflix does. And if Netflix doesn't watch themselves.
I still hate Runaways, but I love Future Man.
Yeah.
And Hulu's about to be the home of a couple of new Marvel shows.
Yeah.
They're going to do the Ghost Rider show.
And with Damon Hellstrom.
And they're also going to do Hellstrom.
Yeah.
What you know what I'm thinking? Who's Netflix's partner? Like who's in Netflix's
I think
corner?
Netflix is just Netflix,
They're
right?
just
Netflix
going
is
out on
just
their
Netflix.
own. They lost them Netflix Avengers, and now they're like, oh, we're done.
Yeah, and I'm
Hulu's also got apparently an animated series that is going to involve Howard the Duck and some other characters.
yeah.
That they're actually calling The Offenders, which feels like a straight middle finger to Netflix.
So I'm just curious to see, if Hulu is coming up here, because RAMY is a really strong show. Shrill, like I say, is that's going to be in people's top tens for sure.
You know what I miss? The big draw for me with Hulu early on was shows like Spy and Whites and a lot of that British comedy that they had, which I know they weren't developing themselves.
No,
Right.
that was some of the package that they'd acquired to build their
Yeah,
catalog.
and I feel like they've kind of dialed back on that as we're getting more Hulu originals.
I mean, that makes sense.
I remember them as the place where they'd acquired a bunch of what were web series and then stitched them together in ways so that I got to watch Battleground there. I watched Booth at the End. There were several web series that they stitched together for me.
And they were the home of Misfits too, weren't they?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's how I saw Misfits initially. Like you said,
So-
they acquired some British shows.
I feel like
The Wrong Man's.
Yeah, The Wrong Man's.
yeah.
I feel like The Wrong Man's one of the first Hulu shows I heard about. I feel like Hulu is transitioning.
Yes.
And I feel like Netflix, if they're not careful, may be transitioning in the wrong way.
Yeah.
Especially because they just raised their prices.
Yeah.
So
Netflix is going to be the blockbuster of the thing that we haven't even imagined.
There's something
yet.
ironic of Netflix becoming the blockbuster. I don't know that I really see that. I mean, they've still got a ton of good content, but like a lot of their originals are coming to an end. They've got Stranger Things, of course, and they've got some big blockbusters. But
And I think it's important to remember that I'd never heard of Stranger Things 2 days before season 1 dropped.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, that is something interesting that
sneak up some new
Netflix
shit.
does. The sneak thing,
Yeah.
where they drop a season
Yeah.
and then that same day people are like, "This, I watched this whole thing. It's
Yeah.
crazy."
They have mastered the Beyonce album
They've
drop.
renewed.
Yeah.
Well, they dropped Beyonce's movie.
Yeah.
They've also renewed Umbrella Academy.
Yeah.
So there, we'll see what the new set is, and
Yeah.
we'll discuss in the Patreon, like, what do you do after you wrap everything?
Yeah, yeah. All right, so let's talk about some network shows. AP Bio is coming into its season 2. This one took me a while to hook me the first season. Like, I liked it but didn't love it, and then I fell in love with it toward the back half.
And we talked about the season 2 premiere.
We talked about the premiere, yeah.
Yeah, no, it takes a second to kind of figure out what they're doing. I think if you're an Always Sunny fan, you probably gave this a bit more like room to hang itself than it deserved.
Yeah.
Long enough, hopefully, to find out that it's not really that show. Even though Glenn Howerton, definitely can do sleazeball in such a great way. I think in large part because of playing Dennis for so long.
Right.
But no, the ensemble he's surrounded by, which really
The teachers, Patton Oswalt,
yeah.
and the kids.
The who's the blonde in the older woman in the office who's like the
God,
main,
His assistant principal is the best.
Yeah.
the assistant
The relationship between Oswald and I don't know if she's assistant principal or coach or what, but their relationship makes the show for me.
Yeah. Her like adoration of him.
It's the background ensemble of the show is the only thing that ever works for me on AP Bio. And when I tuned into season 2, I was still struck with like, wow, Glenn Howerton's still on this show. I really like Dennis in It's Always Sunny, and here it feels like who was Mantzoukas' undercover character on Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
Oh yeah, Pimento. Adrian Pimento.
So if Pimento had showed up on Brooklyn Nine-Nine and then replaced Jake, and we just made the show about it, and then like 3 seasons later you came back and like, no, everybody else is great, but why is Pimento still here? Like Howerton, his shtick of where it'd be like if you told me that Jack Black maintained his fake teaching position in School of Rock long enough to get tenure. Like at some point the jig's up. Like at some point it's got to be obvious that Howerton is at no point teaching these kids anything except how to like destroy his rivals. And
Okay,
I can't believe that it's still even in
Can
the
I
sitcom
bring some of my-
universe hasn't
can-
popped yet.
I'm going to try not to hijack the show with this, but
Yep.
here's how I can buy this show.
Okay.
When I was a junior in high school, I took a vocational metal shop. And it was a weird period where we had to get to school early, and then they let us out in the middle of first period. But we really did metal shop for like the first 2 hours of every day. There was a kid, again, not going to give you the long version of the story, a kid in the shop class. He was just kind of an asshole. Like, this kid was just an asshole. There's not much you can say about that. He took a small piece of lead, took a blowtorch, got it heated up like super red hot, and then all the welding stalls had jackets on them, like welding jackets, and he just dropped it into the pocket of one of the welding jackets.
Okay.
Well, it's a loud metal shop. You can't hear anything, but the teacher is on the other side just watching the whole thing, just screaming at him like, stop, dipshit, stop, don't do this. Anyways, so the teacher, probably does a smart move, but takes a hammer, throws it at the kid. Because there's a pile of metal next to him, so he's like going to scare the kid, all right? It bounces off the metal, like hits the floor, dings this kid in the ankle. Oh, wow. Actually, it wasn't even that. What it was is that his family owned this hardware store. That was like the big hardware store in town. So it's kind of a big deal to the vocational. So they told this guy, they were like, you need to go apologize to his family. And he goes, no, his family's going to beat me up because they're all a bunch of fucking dipshits. Anyways, I tell you this because the last 12 weeks of school, nobody came to us. Nobody told us what was up. Nobody said anything. A class of 20 kids, that guy just got fired. And we just didn't have school until the middle of first period. We just didn't have to come to school any day.
They didn't replace him. They just...
No, we got B's on our report card. We all got the exact same grade on our report card. And every day we were just like...
I love that you don't even get A's out of this shit.
What's going to happen? Yeah. We're like, I wonder if there's somebody who's like, I really deserved an A. I waited there by the door every day and nobody opened up. Yeah, the whole shop was closed off. And there was a group that came in after us from another school that bussed in 2 hours every day. And that bus still came. And I'm like, what did they do? Like, the shop was closed. Like, we went to McDonald's and hung out. But I'm like, this happens in public school. Like, people like Winger, like, they stay in jobs like this. And the AP class, just their whole year is like, this dipshit right here. I also went to school in the Mississippi public school education system.
I remember, like, the level of competitiveness between, like, the three kids vying for the 100th of a point difference between valedictorian and salutatorian at my high school, and they were all taking AP classes so that they could get a year ahead in college. I took AP classes. There are mothers that would have set him on fire by the end of the first 6 weeks report card period of like, if my kid is going to be behind in college, how is she going to take over Harvard and
I do think it says something about America that anytime he has this conversation with somebody, I went to Harvard. Harvard. I taught at Harvard.
I keep wanting him to do what Sandberg did in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which is really settle into this ensemble and play to everyone's strengths. So that, like, my favorite thing about Brooklyn Nine-Nine is watching Peralta interact with Amy.
That is a good point. Yeah.
And I feel like it's still just like Howerton wanders into a room and is a dick, and then after he leaves, the rest of the ensemble can do something.
That brings me to the main reason I wanted to talk about this again, because we talked about episodes 1 and 2, and I think we were both like, it was good. Episode 3 is Wednesday morning, 8 a.m. And that was my favorite episode of the show thus far, because it is all like... It shows how the whole school works. Okay. Like, there are stories. Have you not seen this episode?
No.
Oh,
man.
This is fantastic.
It's a game changer because there's a storyline featuring Durbin, and he's trying to get the morning announcements, and he and Helen are trying to get the morning announcements down to a tight, like, 2. And there's like...
So it's kind of got this, like, a newsroom feel to it.
There's a bus driver who's died, or a crossing guard who's died, and they're trying to figure out how... And then, like, the coach... somehow like stole some money out of the crossing guard's jacket, and he's feeling super guilty about it
because he bought a burrito with it, but now he doesn't want to eat the burrito.
Jack is dealing with, he's got this cute new girl in the financial. He ordered a chair. She basically just stole it, and he's trying to get it back from her. So there's some heisty stuff going on there. The janitor is trying to fix something, and things get worse and worse for him.
He's in a bathroom.
And eventually it's like he's just in a pool of water.
Yeah, it's just
spraying
filling
everywhere.
up with water.
And see, I'm sold on this. Like, I just don't want to watch Howerton's character get revenge or get his position back. Like, I don't want to see that dude win.
They cut bait on that line.
Cool.
They do to some extent.
And that's what bugged me when I jumped back into season 2. I was like, we're still doing this? Are you still making the kids healthy?
You have to watch episode 3 because that was the pinnacle of the show.
No, that's when he starts the book, right?
Yes.
Because it's not until that episode where he meets the girl, and then kind of the season 2 through a line, which is I'm going to write a book about
Blue
the
collar,
working class
yeah,
of
the working
Toledo.
class in America, yeah.
Like these morons, you
And
know.
the thing is, they do then go back to Jack. It focuses on Jack a little bit, but I like the sort of the chemistry he has with the new girl, and I like that she likes Toledo, and so now he has a reason to stay. Like he just wants to get the hell out of her. He thinks this woman who's like, she's better than this. Why don't you come with me? And she's like, no, I want to stay here. This is where I live. I like this. I like this place.
One of the shining moments in season 1 for me, where I realized that the show could be more than our expectations and what we had seen so far, was when he was in the bar, like hitting on the girl, and she was making fun of the other teachers at the school.
Yeah,
because they were kind of being floozies, you know, like TGI Fridaying it up. And he defended them.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, there you go. Like, you know, you can do something different with this character. But to your point about Andy Samberg on Brooklyn Nine-Nine, that's what he needs to be, is somebody who's playing not only to the strengths of all like the kids, but also like Durbin and the other people in the school.
They've definitely given Patton Oswalt's Durbin a lot more to do. The episode Toledo's Top 100, where it turns out that Durbin is like in the top 10 and Jack's in the top 50. Like that's really great. The Sweet Low Road that just came out, where basically Durbin is trying his best to work within the system, and Jack and the other teachers are like, no, we should go around it. And like Jack's bad instincts protecting him from his from Durbin's own like nobility is a great little thing. Also, this is very much right to what you were talking about, him getting revenge. But Jack's old bully shows up at the school, and he's this guy who like went to Everest, and he's this complete jag-off. And he's like this motivational speaker now. And basically Jack and the kids like get on board to try and revenge themselves against this guy. But in this particular case, usually you're like, oh, well, Jack's taking revenge on people who did nothing to him.
Yeah.
This guy earned it.
Okay.
And
that's my issue. Like most of the time, is like I don't want to see Jack get revenge. Like you're in the wrong here, dude.
Yeah, and basically the kids all rally and they're like, yeah, we're doing this one. We're doing this one for you, and yeah, they definitely found another gear, and I really think that episode 3 is where they found another gear and made this a stronger show.
Cool.
I still love everything with the girl with the thick glasses who calls him boss.
Yeah.
I love every moment with her.
Yeah, there's a lot funny about this show. Just every time I've tuned back in, like we get back. It seems like the episodes that I've dropped back in on have still touched on his revenge against people who didn't wrong him, really.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, oh man, this is the plot line that bores me. Damn.
Yeah, they've definitely shifted a little bit. I highly recommend episode 3, Wednesday morning 8 a.m., which I think is the high point of the series so far.
I also think I'm glad it's not longer than 30 minutes, because
for sure.
it is one of those morsels. I'll pop one of these in, you know, watch it real quick. Like it's yummy. It scratches the itch.
Yeah.
But it probably doesn't scratch as hard as this next show we're going to talk about.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which is
back in the Nine-Nine.
This show scratches.
This is what season? Is this season 8?
6.
Season 6, but 5 seasons on Fox, and then they transferred it over to NBC.
It cracks me up watching it on Hulu, because NBC was real quick to just globally slap their logo. It doesn't matter if you go back and watch like Brooklyn Nine-Nine episode 1 of season 1 on Hulu. It's going to open with the NBC Peacock.
Yeah.
Real quick, did this ever feel like it belonged on Fox?
No. This has always been an NBC show.
Yeah, it seemed really weird over on Fox.
Yeah. And it
is spectacular. They made the jump with
this may be one of their best seasons.
Yeah. Oh my God. This is the season that gave me young Hitchcock and Scully.
Well, and they added Hitchcock and Scully to the actual credits.
Yes.
Also, and I know some people may disagree with me on this. This is the season they got rid of Gina. I think Gina was a one-joke character who wore out her welcome 3 or 4 seasons ago.
So Justin Sarian was talking about this today online, and we disagree about how funny Gina was. Like I found Gina more funny, but all his points were solid. Like you're right.
Yeah. I like her. I like
her joke is that she's so adept she doesn't have any challenges.
Yeah,
really.
I like the actress. Mm-hmm. I liked the character for what she was, but I felt like it was a one-note joke, and I got tired of her taking up screen time when there's so many more interesting characters.
Early on, when they could still have everybody viewed her as a total fuck up, and they didn't want to work with her.
Right.
And then slowly they found out that like she's not a fuck up. She's so adept at everything that she just doesn't care about anything.
Right.
And like. It worked great, but like you said, like after about 2 seasons, you've hit that from all the angles, and then you got to start coming up with stuff to do. So like the next good thing she did for me was when she dropped in on the heist, and that's not till like season 4.
Yeah.
But yeah, having her blip in and out works a lot better for her character as a disruptor.
Yeah. They continue to do just fantastic episodes here. The most recent one the Ticking Clocks episode.
Oh yeah.
You guys see that one?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're behind. Kyle.
I'm behind on this, so not going to hear a lot from me.
Yeah. The Ticking Clocks episode.
Mama Manchione.
That was great. I always love seeing Holt. I love seeing Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
So it was great to see them. They did a bit with they managed to tackle things like they tackled Terry's sort of PTSD being on the field previously. They've tackled a lot of things. They tackled sort of sexual assault and the sort of how the system is stacked against women.
Yeah.
And they did it in a funny way the show was funny, but it was also poignant. It was really well done.
I always like seeing Holt's ridiculous line for what he thinks is stupid or silly or whatever. But the entire episode that they dealt with him feeling like the bimbo.
Yeah.
To Kevin.
Yeah.
Like
him feeling like the bimbo is great.
Like all of Kevin's professor pals and like, that, oh yeah, I know I'm just the sweet piece of ass. It's just, it works so great. But it also, they play it for laughs, but it also is it was kind of a sweet through line of an episode of like him proving his worth and Kevin having to step up for him of like, no, sometimes I'm making a kerfluffle.
Yeah. And they did a whole thing with Charles's kid and his birth father, which I find that plot ridiculous.
Oh my God.
But that was
so
really well
nuts.
done.
Yeah, that they keep going with it is just hysterical to me.
Yeah. It continues to be, it's a fantastic cast. I feel like since they added Hitchcock and Scully to the cast, they've given them more to do.
Yes. I didn't realize, they're there from episode 1.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize that they weren't being considered really part of the cast until I saw them in the credits.
Yeah.
So they need to be. They're such an important part of the dynamic.
And they continue to do really well with Jake and Amy. Mm-hmm. They haven't had to do any fake breakups or anything like that. They're just like, they're a couple that sometimes they want to strangle each other because they want different things.
But then sometimes they're ridiculous and the same obsessive. Like they both are workaholics.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite things about Parks and Rec. It's like this relationship doesn't need to have a problem every episode for it to be
it's like
interesting.
Ben and Leslie. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
or I was actually
together.
thinking of Andy and April.
Andy and April.
Because they let that relationship last uninterrupted pretty much the whole duration of the show.
Yeah, it's Mike Schur. Mike Schur's not running the show, but I think there's a lot of people in TV who the only way they can view relationships is, well, what's the good drama with a relationship? Well, we do a breakup. Well, we do a cheating story. Well, we do this. And
it's
the fact
will they,
is,
won't they? And so we got to do something to get back to will they, won't they?
Yeah, and the fact is, there's so many more gears. Like you can do a show where the relationship is the two of them love each other. You know they're going to be together, but one of them is like can't let go of work and is trying to get to the crime scene when they shouldn't be, and that kind of thing. And
and I think too, audiences are smarter now.
Yeah.
So the second that we know these two characters are going to end up, you might as well just stick them together.
Yeah.
So
I can't
it's
do
all
3
about
more seasons of
the
Ross and
next
Rachel.
thing.
I know they're going to kiss. Damn it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which takes us over to our other show, Whiskey Cavalier.
Yes. All right. So I wanted to talk about Whiskey Cavalier for a specific reason.
Yes.
I tried to watch the first. All right. So I didn't see this when it premiered.
Yeah.
We I think last year's ATX
It was
Fest, right?
one of the closing shows of ATX TV Fest. It was pitched as being from Bill Lawrence, which it's not really. He's like loosely involved.
It's kind of in the way that Abby's is from Mike Schur.
Right. And I was like, okay, well, I love Bill Lawrence. I like Scott Foley. I like Lauren Cohen. Let's take a look at this. And it was the right way to do it. Like, see it on the big screen. It's an action-heavy show. Like, I was like...
Everybody I knew who saw it really enjoyed that screening.
I was like, you know what? This is a solid pilot. It's not great, but it's a solid pilot. I'm curious to see where it goes.
So I watched this pilot then when it aired, knowing that a lot of everybody I knew had seen the screener really dug it. But I watched it the first week that I had gone up, like a little, I don't know, whenever it premiered. I was up in Northeast Texas visiting my dad with cancer. And there's times where you're bummed out and you want a lighthearted show or whatever to watch.
Yeah.
Like I sat down to try to watch this and was just like, "Man, fuck your fluffy show."
Yeah.
I just couldn't get into it. And it started with like, this is not a show that isn't up my alley. Like I love Leverage and Chuck and like I like and Burn Notice. Like there's a certain like goofy level of like, don't think about it too hard, just defuse the bomb, it's fine.
Yeah.
There's an easy red wire, cut it. Like I love those shows. And so it kind of made me like, wow, I wonder how often, have y'all ever had a show where you were at least loosely excited about it. You know it's up your alley, but man, it just happened to premiere in the wrong fall or on the wrong week.
Yeah, I've definitely run into that.
Like
I can't
that
think,
sitcom's dead in the
Oh,
water
yeah.
because it premiered the night my cat died. Fuck
Yeah,
me then.
yeah.
Actually, Venture Brothers, that's one for me where I'm like, I know I would love that, but there's just so much of it to go back and catch up on.
Yeah. I think I mean, Leverage, Chuck, Burn Notice, absolutely in the DNA
yeah.
of this show. And I don't know that I would say I don't know if it's better than any of those three shows. Like, it's maybe not as good as any of those three shows. But
But I actually would compare it more to the like NCIS and the ensemble procedural type shows. But instead of it being so much a whodunit, it almost has more of a Monster of the Week type feel, but with like these different espionage plots or like
it does, but I feel like as they go on, they're definitely building an arc, especially with the character building. Like, I feel like the character work here is really strong. Like, but Beyond the Will They Won't, they're the two leads.
okay.
I really like what they did with Ray, the guy who's basically a scumbag friend who cheated on him, and they're like, he's dead to them all. And then slowly but surely he sort of weasels his way in there.
That is a really interesting character. The only problem is I feel like that character may be too serious for this lighthearted universe.
You think?
Well, I feel like they go back and forth because at the end of the day, it's a secret agent group that runs out of a bar.
Yeah, which, by the way, the Dead Drop, an amazing name for a spy bar.
That is pretty cool.
The Dead Drop, that's their location. This is what makes me think of Leverage. They're in a bar. They have a bar that's like they're and I like that they're a spy group that would never exist in the real world. It's like there's a CIA agent, there's an FBI agent, there's some analysts. Like, it is like who they answer to and what their job is very loosely defined. They're after this weird conspiracy group that they don't even check back in on for like 3 or 4 episodes.
You know what this is sounding more like?
What's that?
It's kind of like A-Team.
A-Team, Charlie's Angels.
But they're on the grid.
It's got some of that stuff. Yeah, for sure. But I think the ensemble's a big part of it. The ensemble's a big part of what works.
Yep.
The chemistry of the two leads is really good. Lauren Cohen as sort of this jaded CIA agent works so much better than I could have imagined.
I think I'm also brand Lauren Cohen. Like, I don't know. I'll just watch anything she's in.
But I also like the as they get deeper in. Are you caught up, Kyle? I don't know if you're fully caught up.
I think I'm 1 or 2 behind.
Something really notable happens this week, and I'm not going to get too much into it, but they did something really notable that sort of flips Will and what's Lauren Cohen's character's name? Will and whatever her name is.
Yeah, Lauren.
Will and Frankie Trowbridge.
Yeah.
It sort of flips Will and Frankie's role in a really interesting way.
You mean in the Will They Won't They, the relationship?
No,
type
it's sort of
role?
the way they go about their business. Usually Will's the Boy Scout and she's the badass. Mm-hmm. We definitely get to see Will being the badass in here, and it's kind of fun. Even the first episode does this, where Will is this sort of Captain America Boy Scout type guy, but he's also very skilled at what he does. Like, he is definitely a skilled spy.
Yeah.
And they show it off as sort of a thing where it's like, oh, he's the nice guy. He wouldn't go in for the kill. But he's also like, he's a sniper. He's a skilled shooter and that kind of stuff. I also really like that they kill people in this show. Mm-hmm. Like, you go back to Alias and all that, a lot of that stuff, and they would use guns, but they would never actually kill anyone. Or you especially go back to A-Team, and there was always shoot the tires and the Jeep would go flying. Mm-hmm. Like, they have them using knives and guns, and they kill the bad guys. Like, I like that little bit of realism, even in this sort of lighter show.
It kind of feels like a TV version of a Tom Cruise Mission Impossible movie.
Yeah.
And I mean that like in a very complimentary way. Like, when you watch some of these action scenes, you're like, this is a little
the action's good
than most TV action.
Yeah.
Like, great comparison. I look at the Lethal Weapon show, which I know the big joke for the while is that I love Lethal Weapon, but I mean the action, especially when they would do chase scenes, you could tell it was like a half a block of road that they were just driving up and down. And I mean, there's an art to doing good action on a weekly basis, and getting it out every week, and that's the bigger challenge.
I've gotten to the point where I actually care about these characters and their arcs, and this is like you were saying earlier with AP Bio. This is one of those shows you can just put on.
Yeah,
like
I was comparing it a lot to that too earlier when I was thinking about kind of our like what we have. Well, that and Abby's is another one of those where it's just like little morsels.
Yeah, when I want to focus, if I watch Game of Thrones, that's what I'm doing. I'm watching Game of Thrones. Mm-hmm. If I'm doing a little homework and I want something in the background, Whiskey Cavalier.
That is my only complaint about FX, is that I'm always like doing something else and I'm like, oh, I'll put on a new FX show.
Yeah.
But I feel like every FX show is like, no, I actually have to
Draws
sit
your
and
attention.
listen
Yeah,
to
for sure. Yeah.
whatever they're talking about right now.
And I think that's one of the things that networks still do is the sort of like stuff that you're just kind of watching, half watching. Mm-hmm. And Whiskey Cavalier, it will occasionally draw my focus and get me to just like stop what I was doing and watch it. But for the most part, it is a sort of like fun, light action show that I can sort of put on in the background, turn my brain off.
Well, and here's what they nail. Those title cards.
Yeah.
And that theme song.
Yeah, it's really
like when-
catchy.
yeah,
Gets you right into it.
You get a little action scene at the beginning.
Yeah, James
and then
Bond
it's like,
style.
I'm gonna na.
Yeah.
And then the freaking title cards come in and I'm pumped.
Yeah.
And what's funny is I don't think it ever really gets that high again in the
Yeah,
show.
no.
Like I think it's all downhill from the title cards.
Yeah.
Like they get the bad guy at the end. But I mean, you're just so jacked up on title card adrenaline. You ride that through the end of the episode.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine does that too.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Their opening teaser and then the cutting it short with the title card is one of my favorite things on Brooklyn.
Yeah, Brooklyn Nine-Nine's got one of the great openings on TV. But yeah, I don't know, Les, I don't know if it's going to win you over, but I would
I'll
definitely give
another
this a second shot.
Yeah, 'cause I got the feeling that I had watched it on the wrong week.
Yeah.
That like this lighthearted show premiered on a not lighthearted week for me.
Right.
And so, but then the reviews of it I saw online were, I couldn't tell if people really didn't like it or if it just wasn't high-minded enough for them. Or when people say shows are great or bad, I mean, we do a crit show. Like it's hard to tell what great and bad means for everybody.
If this show went away tomorrow, I wouldn't care.
If you're looking for something to bite in, story-wise at least, the two friends from the pilot, which I don't know if you're going to have to watch that again, but the two friends that now have to work together, I think that's probably the most interesting like through line, like you were saying earlier.
Yeah.
But
But
gives you a
it's-
little something.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely, whenever I'm tidying house and stuff, like,
Yeah,
this
this is that show. This is a laundry show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I miss
laundry
Leverage
show.
and Chuck and Burn Notice. So,
Yeah. All right.
Not to be confused with a soap opera.
So that is it for us this week. You can, if you would like to support the TV Dudes, you can go over to patreon.com/TV Dudes. Throw us $1 an episode. You will get, in addition to the warm feeling in your heart from supporting the people making content that you love, you might get some bonus episodes every now and then as we discuss various things.
Like everything you missed in Infinity War, we're going to go down the list of everything nobody else is talking about.
And we are part of the Electric Sweater Network.
Electric Sweater.
Sweater.
And you can find a bunch of TV-related content over Electric Sweater. You can find God damn it, I did it again.
You almost got it.
I almost had
FemTV.
it. FemTV.
FemTV.
I doubted myself and I had it.
Let's see. Yeah, you can go back and listen to the Mr. Roboto podcast.
The
You
Mr.
can check
Roboto
out,
podcast?
Star Trek Discovery Pod and even give them a call.
Yes.
There's, This Is Us. There's Pilot Watching.
Wait a second. Isn't that where Beach Cop Detectives
There's Beach Cop
lives?
Detectives. There's The Good Die Young.
Yeah, there's more.
Randy's like, everybody's listened to Beach Cop Detectives. Come
And
on.
if you haven't, you should.
Yeah.
But yeah, go check that out. And we'll be back next week. And until that time.
TV Dudes out.
The TV Dudes is an independently run podcast and a member of the Electric Sweater Podcast Network. We are exclusively listener supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/TV Dudes. You can like us on Facebook and Twitter @TV Dudes. All the music for our show is by our friend and original TV dude, Gregory J. Amani Smith. To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com and electricsweater.com. I'm Grant Davis. Thanks for listening.